Hi, and welcome to my channel. So, being the reader that I am, I guess that every time I film these videos, I think to myself that it's like a weird selection of books each time I do it. And I guess for a couple of years I said that out loud in my videos. But now realizing that every month I just read whatever comes to mind. There's no plan at all nearly. And I like it that way. So please join this journey of reads I've chosen at random. We're kicking this off with what I would call almost a modern classic. It's The Book Thief by Markus Zusak. It's a book set in Germany during the Second World War, and it's told by death. Yeah, and it's about Liesel, who is a young girl, and her family is sent to concentration camp, and now she's with her foster parents. Yeah, it has all the things going for it to make you want to cry at some point, and I guess that's why people like it. It stirs your emotions. I've talked about historical fiction a lot on this channel, and I do like it when historical fiction sort of lets you know about things going on in the world and puts the story into context. Of course, we know about the Second World War, and that's not something that needs a lot of explaining to a lot of us. But still, I felt like this book was very personal, very close to Liesel the whole time, without actually giving all that much context, and I might have missed that some. I guess that's also the only negative thing I have to say about this book, but still I didn't feel a connection. Maybe it's something to do with the expectations. Maybe it's the thing where this is usually a book I could enjoy but didn't. It's not always easy to tell why you didn't like or dislike a book. I felt like it was a great, entertaining novel, and I get how many people would end up feeling like they had a strong connection with it because it tries to tickle your emotions. So I guess that's it. I didn't know at the time, but I was to continue my Second World War adventure with this one, Austerlitz by WG Sebald. So this is about a young boy that's being sent away from Central Europe in like a kinder transport, and he's now trying to dig up his past to figure out what happened. So he is sent away in like 1939, and then we continue to follow his life along. But it's a bumpy ride and it's a complicated one. So I struggled so much to understand what this book was trying to tell me, and it was jumping all over the place and I just couldn't get it. So I spent a whole lot of time with this trying to figure out what was happening, and I just struggled. So a lot of times I could stop and see beautiful passages, sentences, thinking to myself that, wow, that was powerful. But in my head, I was also infuriated that I couldn't understand the context or how all the things were puzzled together. So I just see this as a book that belongs to people that read on a higher level than me. So I wouldn't recommend it, but I guess a lot of people that love words for words' sake or just understand text better than me love this. So do what you want with that information. For my next pick, I suddenly realized that I had made a promise, and that was to read 5 very specific classics this year. And I hadn't read any of them so far. So I picked up Out of Africa by Isak Dinesen, or Karen Blixen. Difficult to pronounce that fake pseudonym, which is also kind of a difficult word, but Karen Blixen is her name, and she traveled to Kenya in the early 1900s, and this came out in 1937. So this is a non-fiction about her stay in Africa and what she experienced. You might have seen the movie with Meryl Streep. I have not seen it, so I don't know what that movie is all about, but she has a farm in Kenya and she runs it and talks about her experiences and the people living nearby and in other countries and a whole lot of stuff. If I was to try to sum up my thoughts on that novel, it would go something like, I just didn't feel it. It was too many names of people and too many groups of people she tried to explain about. Also, a lot of description of nature without me feeling feeling the energy. I guess this is one of those books that would benefit from having... I would have benefited if I read about Kenya in the early 1900s and like refreshed my memory on things I learned in school. I didn't, so that might have been better, but all in all, I feel like that's just... it's an okay read if you want to, but I just didn't connect at all. Of course, what do you do if you didn't connect with the book? You pick up another book you think you won't connect with, and that's Hunger by Knut Hamsun. So this is one of the other books I was supposed to read, the classics, in 2024. This is maybe one of the most famous Norwegian books. Knut Hamsun has won the Nobel Prize for Literature, also most known now to be a Nazi sympathizer, a good writer, but not so good human being. Anyway, this is a book about a guy that wanders around the streets of Oslo in the late 1800s whilst being hungry. And that's the title. So that's all there is to it in a way. This is actually Knut Hamsun's debut novel, and I was positively surprised. The thing that made me surprised in a good way was how fun it is. So it doesn't have that dry sense of being classic literature. It's like, I would describe the language as playful, and the character is quite humorous at times, like having a bit of dark humor on his own behalf, and there's a lot of quite interesting situations happening whilst he is going around in Oslo. Hearing myself saying these things out loud, it makes me wonder what my Norwegian teachers might have thought of this if they saw it. Yeah, I'm not sure, but I think they would have a lot more to say about it than I have. At least I'm glad that I've read Hamsun because of his fame. Will I read more from him? I don't know, but that book made me, as I said, not hate classics as much. Then we're going back to Denmark again, and it's On Calculation of Volume by Solvej Balle. So this is the third book in the septology of hers about this woman stuck in time. And it's very easily read. It goes day by day. And I have the fourth one also. I find it interesting to think about the concept of being stuck in time. I think that is what makes me continue this series. The first book was good. The second book was a bit like, should I continue? But the third one is, again, quite interesting. In the series, they keep on adding new elements to Tara's story, and I just want to know what is going to happen in the next one. So I'll probably just continue the series because it's fun. Then a book that was definitely the biggest surprise this month, and it looks like this. It's Bikubesong by Frode Grytten. So there's the text. This is unfortunately, I think, the only book that's not been translated to English among the books that I've read this month, but it's set in this small place in Norway where we meet people living in this brick house building. Bikubesong translates to something like hum or song of the beehive, and it's about these people living in this brick house, and it's split into parts, so the book feels like it's just built up a bunch of novellas or short stories, and it's just a fascinating group of people. It reminds me a little bit of Jon Kalmar Stefansson, Summerlight and Then Comes the Night, because the people are strange but so relatable, but you don't want it to feel like it's relatable. I guess that's the easiest way of saying it. It's probably tales of your uncle or aunt that you don't really want to be associated with that much, but they're still there, they're still people, and you love them in a weird way. So I guess that sums it up. I feel like these stories represent a big chunk of your life, so it's falling in love, it's being afraid, it's being happy, it's experiencing something tough. It's all of it collected into this not that big book, and I just had a great time with it and laughed out loud several times. So it was actually a neighbor that talked about this. I would say that this book is probably a Norwegian modern classic. It came out in 1999 and it was nominated for the Nordic Council Literature Prize. So this is a famous book, and it had been standing in my shelf, of course, as a lot of books do, and I finally got around to reading it, so I was very happy. So this is what I mean with having months that's it feels like I have weird months in reading, but actually I just read books I have standing in my shelf, and I'm happy with having read them most of the time. But especially this one is very clearly my favorite read of the month of May. So I guess that was it. As always, I would love to hear what your favorite read for this month was, so please comment below. I will have these books in the description box under here, so you can look through them if I'm not spelling it out clearly enough when I speak. That might happen. It happens a lot because people always ask me to put the names of the books in the text below if I forget, so there's that. But thank you all for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!